Let me start off with the new finder for this morning, and the new finder says investors dump T-bills for BOG bills. I'll tell you more about that shortly. Kumasi restaurants waste over 2 million in edible food annually. KNUST study finds. Bulgarian ambassador announces job exchange initiative. These are stories on the front page.
The Ghanaian Times this morning, SMEs allocated $4.35 million for sustainable plastic waste management. I'll bring you details of that. Government explores cheaper power option for Valco. I'll also bring you details of that. And more importantly, I'll bring you more on this one. No more NHIS statutory payments delays. And there's also a follow-up on this, which I'll bring you later. Joe Youngson,
I'm so sorry.
what is tickling you?
Charlotte Osei just randomly texted me, wow, look, so aggressively stingy. Why?
Okay, let's get to the news center, published by Elvis Daku. It says,
Sorry.
NDC doubles down on pledge to quickly end double track. TUC vows to resist ECG privatization. MTN unveils year-long strategy to transform SMEs. And Balmia decries security intimidation and harassment. BOG CEOs of banks brainstorm over 100 basis points hike in policy rate. Back page. Okay, that's the MTN story, which means that we can now bring you the online news review.
An interesting revelation from yesterday's discussion, the ECG National Dialogue. There was zero investment in ECG during Akufo-Addo's first term. Guess who's saying that? Samuel Dubik Mahama, the former MD. Well, that's interesting, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I mean, he explained that because at the time we were getting ready to privatize ECG or introduce private participation. Mm-hmm. The focus was on that, so you didn't have a lot of investment in the backbone of ECG, and yes, so that's it. Everything ECG had to do came from, the funds that it generated. But this is it for me, really. The truth is that in giving us, setting tariff, what ECG or what any utility provider would do is to indicate their expenditure for the year, because they actually would use their tariff to take care of their total expenditure for the year. So they would indicate their expenditure for the year, and then PURC would look at this expenditure and then set the tariff.
If I understand what Dubik explained yesterday, this will mean that they're not far from setting the expenditure. When PURCU gives the tariff, and they believe that the systems or the mechanism they've put in place can implement it. When they shoot the tariffs, because of the way the meters function in this country, you'd only shoot the tariff before you know that you cannot accumulate that amount of revenue to even meet the expenditure.
ECG has consistently been experiencing too much technical losses. It is unacceptable. You see? I'll tell you one thing on this. I just say one thing. The CEO of PDS. Who knows the CEO of PDS? His name was Reverend something Hart. Now, he was a managing director of ECG. Okay? Mm-hmm. Under his tenure as managing director of ECG performed so well. Kojo and MFI. ECG did so well under his tenure. So when PDS came, they took him. He had gone on retirement. They brought him to come and lead that. The message is simple. If we would allow ECG to function effectively, if we will not treat ECG as we've treated all state institutions, where when there's a change in government, you bring somebody who thinks that it is, a reward for what he or she did in the past, ECG will be in a better position. Unfortunately, we've played politics with every institution in this country. And what have we not seen? Immediately was a change in government. ECG MD is gone. Ghana Water MD is gone. Gridco, VRA, everything gone. New people will come in there. At least for VRA, we know that it's a man who's already been there. So he knows, he was the deputy CEO and he's now been elevated to CEO. But many of the instances, people are brought from outside and they come there sometimes don't even have an appreciation of what they're coming to do. My point is that you cannot be producing power, monopoly, and be making losses. My goodness. Anyway, let's move on to other stories.
All right. Well, let's see what else is on myjournalline.com this morning.
Chaos in Asante Mampon as angry NDC supporters vandalize property and set items ablaze. Let's see which one here. On City Newsroom, restore discipline in senior high schools. Education Minister to GES. And also on Boko, Ayaraga condemns violence, backs Otunfo's peace efforts as well. That's the biggest one on City Newsroom. On CNN as well. South Korean helicopters fight wildfire along heavily armed border with North Korea. Israelis political leaders steering ceasefire talks and also frustrate mediators. Are quite expected. Yeah.
Okay. Right.
Okay. Yes, I just got the name. It's Hatton Mensah. Mr. Hatton Mensah. He was, CEO of PDS, and the job he did at ECG was there for all to see. Anyway, which means we can get into, the papers now. Let me start off with the new Finder, and the story on page 5 says that investors dumped T-bills for BOG bills. So we're told that investors have dumped Treasury bills for the Bank of Ghana bills, which are giving a return of 28%. This is due to the recent sharp decline in yields. Indeed, the government has, in the last T-bill auction, recorded under subscription. And when we had the Joy Business Economic Dialogue, Professor Peter Korte made the point that what we're doing at the time was artificial. We're artificially trying to reduce the lending rates on, the Treasury bill rates. The thing is this: you have inflation at 22%. You're expecting me to give you my money for what, 15%, 17%? I will not. And the moment we do that, people will then say, how about I, save in dollars? Because we know that whatever happens, well, there'll be some level of depreciation of the Ghana cedi compared to the dollar. And that in itself puts a lot of strain on the Ghana cedi. So what Peter Korte said at the time was, let the market system operate. And then if gradually the economy becomes better, inflation has gone down, then you can look at it and say, why not? Let me get these bills for 15%. And that will be the way to go. Also on page 5, vegetable exporters call for elimination of trade barriers. So the Vegetable Producers and Exporters Association of Ghana, they've urged the African Continental Free Trade Area Secretariat to remain committed to eliminating trade barriers that hinder intra-African trade. But a story on page 7 says Kumasi restaurants waste over $2 million in edible food annually. So food is essential for human growth. However, not everyone around the world has access to it. Now, we're told that a study by the Department of Agricultural Economics, Agribusiness and Extension, the KNUST, has revealed that restaurants in Kumasi waste approximately 320 metric tons of edible food each year, valued at over $2 million. Now, the research, sampled 120 restaurants, and it identified the main food waste management practices adopted by these restaurants, which include disposal, source reduction, and reuse, particularly through donations to livestock producers for animal feed production. The researchers proposed several recommendations to address the issue of food waste. Okay, also on the front page here, there's a conversation about the Bulgarian ambassador announcing job exchange program. So we're told that the Bulgarian ambassador to Ghana, Nico van Stardunen, has unveiled a strategic initiative aimed at creating job opportunities for Ghanaians while deepening bilateral trade and investment ties between Ghana and Bulgaria. Yeah. So that's it.
I was told by the employment minister a few weeks ago that this deal was in the offing, and that the Bulgarians were interested in truck drivers.
Okay.
Not just the usual nurses and so forth, but truck drivers. They also wanted people who had special factory skills, so the ability to operate technical equipment, forklifts, and all of these things. So they are clearly going for a certain industrial boost, but they know they don't have enough manpower to fill the gaps, so they are looking to other countries. So yeah, it's not just the nurses who are going to be getting the chance to travel to European countries now, but if you have some driving skills, you could be in very high demand for countries like Bulgaria.
I mean, on the issue of the usual nursing, it just brought my mind to something I wanted to tell you. Now, so 2 days ago, or maybe some days ago, the health minister indicated that we have large numbers of nurses, and the country is unable, or the government is unable to employ them into the public facilities, so they are forced to really export them outside of the country. And so many nurses currently are looking forward to be exported. It's not strange, because you recall the conversation with the Kujata Blakwa.
Yeah.
He alluded to that fact as well. But the minister actually said that it is because of our economic situation. That's why it is so. They can't even employ them, and they can't even pay them.
Yeah.
But since we've started with the health ministry, let me bring you this one from the Ghanaian Times. No more NHIS statutory payment delays. The Deputy Finance Minister has been giving an assurance, says that the government will ensure prompt and consistent transfers to the National Health Insurance Scheme and other statutory funds to improve service delivery and strengthen public confidence in the system, says the Deputy Minister of Finance, Thomas Nyako Ampim. Now, still on this promise, and again, it will be just yesterday, the NIA has been, the National Health Insurance Authority has been indicating that they're not going to be paying in bulk anymore.
Paying what in bulk?
So for the services that maybe private or even public hospitals will provide, particularly even private, if you went there as a patient, instead of the hospitals putting the bills in bulk and billing the government or the National Health Insurance Authority, they're going to be dealing with it case by case.
As an insurance company should.
It should be case by case.
That's how it should be, yeah.
Well, but the thing is that, the hospitals at the end of, say, a week or a month would submit the total claims to government, for the NHIA to verify and then make payments to them. The challenge has been that most times the NHIA is unable to release funds promptly. Also because government itself delays in the release of funds to NHIA. I am of the view that NHIA can take care of a lot of the challenges that health challenges that Ghanaians go through. In fact, we can survive. That system can survive without the payment of subscription. The National Health Insurance Scheme. How much is subscription? How much? I mean, so I'm happy today. There's the decapping. They've uncapped the capping of NHIA funds because SNITs, when we contribute, a percentage of our contribution goes to the National Health Insurance Authority. VAT, NHI levy
is in there.
It's in there. So there is enough funding mechanisms for the system.
Yeah, especially if the money doesn't go into the black hole of the consolidated fund before some of it must find its way back at the at the pleasure of the finance minister. No, what they earn should go straight to them, and then of course their use of it should be properly scrutinized. I have a lot of faith in the people who run that place. Dr. Victor Bampo is someone who has proven ability in medical administration, so I have every expectation that they should be able to do a good job. I like the fact that they are now thinking like an insurance company, and they want to deal with issues on a case-by-case basis. When the claim comes, they assess, then they pay. Rather than hospitals bring in bills in bulk at the end of the month, at the end of 2-3 months, and then now you have to sift through and hope you are not being scammed. It's a lot.
I'm just concerned about the public knowledge of administrative processes and challenges that we have in this country.
Well,
it looks good on the face of it as an insurance company. It looks good, which is how
that's their job. That's their job. If Glyco can do it, SIC can do it, why can't they? Why not? What's their excuse? right? I have some health insurance, but I don't even remember the name of the company, Basabi. But even they are able to do it. So why can't the NHIA operate like an insurance company? It's better for their own bottom line, you know, and it also means that the average Ghanaian is getting more reactive, prompt service that the healthcare providers can rely on, so that they will give you the better service upfront, knowing that they will get their money back quicker and more effectively.
Okay, we don't have time. I was going to say something about that black hole of a consolidated fund. We just threw those figures, sometimes that narrative out to, you know, justify government's recklessness.
Yeah, we should make time to talk about it.